Hi, welcome to Chapter 9, Lifespan Development. 9.3 and 9.4 are depressing. Lifespan development. 9.1, define and distinguish between three domains of development: physical, cognitive, and psychosocial. Discuss the normative approach to development. Understand the three major issues in development: continuity and discontinuity, one common course of development or many unique courses of development, and nature versus nurture. Let's get into it. If you can't see some of the slide because of my video, I have put in the slides, so you can go back and look. The three domains of development: physical, cognitive, and psychosocial. What is normal development? Normative approach to development is like when you say children should walk by 12 months of age. It's just certain milestones. These milestones can be universal, such as puberty, or they can be non-universal, such as when a child starts school. In some countries, children start school at like 7 or 8. Here in the United States, we generally start school pre-K at 4, kindergarten at 5. Three major issues in development: continuity and discontinuity. Continuity is development gradually improves, where discontinuity is where development takes place in stages. When we'll talk about that with a theorist later. One common course of development or many unique courses of development. Stage theorists believe that development is universal, such as children will babble before they form words, whereas many unique course theorists believe that our development is influenced by many factors. There's a really good example in your book. I don't know where the people are from, but the moms carry the children around until they're, I don't remember exactly how old, if it was like 3 or 4, because they live in a remote forest. But eventually these children, they do walk, and their motor skills are better than children that started walking at 12 months old. It's pretty neat to read about. Let's get into our theorists. We're going to talk about Freud. We're going to talk about Erikson, talk about Piaget, and Kohlberg. And here they are. Freud, psychosexual development. According to Freud, children's pleasure-seeking urges are focused on a different area of the body called an erogenous zone. At each of the 5 stages of development: oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. Erikson has a big old chart, so it'll be on the next one. So does Piaget. Kohlberg, I really like what he does. He does moral development. He would give people moral dilemmas and then place them as stages of moral reasoning depending on their answers. You should read some of his stuff. It's kind of cool. So Erikson's theory, these are stages of how a child should develop. And you can see that. Piaget, schools still use Piaget's theories of development. And there's that. Stages of development. 9.3. There are your learning objectives at the bottom. Let's get to our chart. There is our chart. Describe the stages of prenatal development. In weeks 1 to 2, it's a zygote. It's when the sperm and the egg merge. Then the zygote implants into the uterine lining, creating an embryo that is between weeks 3 and 8. And the fetal stage is weeks 9 through 40. The embryo is now called a fetus. So it goes zygote, embryo, fetus. This is when the organism takes human shape and starts creating sex organs, fingers, toes, and hearing. Prenatal care is super duper important. They have done studies about like folic acid and things that moms need when they're pregnant, because everything that passes through the mom gets passed to the baby. And so there was a study down in Mexico. I think it was Mexico, Latin America. I have to check. But all these children were born with cleft palates. They did a study on it, and if they would have had folic acid, um, such as vitamin C, in their diet, uh, these children would have been born with cleft palates. It was very interesting. Moving on. Discuss physical, cognitive, emotional development that occurs from infancy through childhood. Obviously, babies develop quickly; they grow quickly into children. Their brains grow really quickly. There's a bunch of information there. Emotional development. Infants really have. That's when they learn their attachments when they're babies. So there are attachment disorders if their parent or guardian is not accessible to them. Adolescence, obviously the onset of puberty. Girls will develop hips, breasts. Boys will develop facial hair, and their voices will deepen. Girls will reach their full heights between 10 years old and 16 years old. And whereas boys, they don't reach their tallest until between the ages of 13 and 17. And that's just on average. This is the bad part. Like I did the adulthood. By 40, we physically decline, but it is gradual. After 60, we have loose skin, slow reaction time, poor muscle tone, and our brain stops functioning at optimal levels. However, between the ages of our mid-30s and our mid-50s, we are our smartest. Studies show that if we keep our brain active and our bodies active, that we are actually sharper in the long run. Emotional development for adults is our friend groups, they dwindle, but our friendships are stronger. Death and dying, like I said, this is sad. Anyways, hospice care, it started in 1974 here in the United States. It is when people can die with dignity and pain-free in their home and not have to be at a hospital. The 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And a DNR and a living will. A living will is when you're alive, you're cognizant, and you say what you want to happen to your body, to your possessions, so on and so forth. A DNR is do not resuscitate. If you stop breathing, if your heart stops and you do not want any medical intervention, that is a DNR. And that's chapter 9. Okay, bye.